Alright, let's just get out of the way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you want, you can leave a comment down below. The Eminence in Shadow starts off with a typical high school girl getting ready for school. Well, a typical rich girl getting ready for school. When she arrives in her black limo to school, everyone's looking at her. She gets out of there, and everyone's like, good morning, good morning. And they're all trying to be polite. But when she gets to the main character, she says, good morning, and she tells us that he's below average in knowledge, athleticism, and his looks are just average. He replies back, good morning, Nishimura, and that is not her name. They go back and forth on what her name is, and they're really aware that she's just an NPC, and says, I can't remember your name because you're not a very important character. So as you can tell, he's a very typical anime character. He sits in the back next to the girl, very similar to Ayano Koji from Classroom of the Elite. So we find out two things about Nishino, the girl. She hates the main character, and she used to be an actress. Because Kagano is by himself and has no friends, it seems, he lets out all his stress on a machine he has that works out his forearms. He probably has really giant ass arms under that sweater. And what does he like to do on his free time? He reads this book that I think has magic spells in there, and he tries to chant them. He almost looks like the kid who, if you say one bad thing about him, he might even pop and do something weird. And it seems that all he ever thinks about is power, more power, for some reason. Nishino is much more different. She tries to be the teacher's pet, she tries to be everyone's friend, she's trying to forget about her past. Well, she's going to be in a movie series or something like that soon. She's trying to be the perfect idol. Oh, and since we're talking about quirky things, the main character's talent is that he can play piano really well. And then he starts playing the copyright-free Beethoven song. So typically Nishino gets picked up from school. But for some reason, her and the main character are at school really late at night. He tries to call her security guard, but he's getting his ass kicked by some gangsters. So she walks home, and she hasn't walked home in a real long time, but she starts noticing that someone's following her. By the time she turns around, and then turns again, the guy's behind her, and they kidnap her. The main character sees this, and just stands there without even doing anything about it. So I guess there was some type of scandal when she was in middle school. The scandal was that she got attacked. I'm not trying to get demonetized here. So the gangsters know what happened in the scandal, and they say, you know what? I also want a piece of that pie. They start to attack her, but from the rooftop, there comes another thief. Wait, is he a hero? Or is he going to also attack her? To be honest, I'm not too sure, but all I know is that he beats up the gangsters with a crowbar and just keeps talking about how a crowbar is really efficient. So there's a military guy that he beats up, but for some reason he had a gun that could have just shot him dead. Instead he dropped it and decided to play fair. Well, that was his bad, because the main character beats the shit out of him. And you won't believe it under the mask. No, it's Kagano. Wait, he's Batman? So the next day she goes up to him and says, good morning. He does that annoying shit where he kind of gets her name wrong and then doesn't really do anything about it. But life gets him, because the next day he's hit by a truck, and you know what that means. Isekai time! Well, I guess it was better for this shut-in secluse type of guy, because now he can create his backstory, which is, when I was a kid I always wanted to be a gangster. But the real story is almost like a nerd's dream. At school, I am just some typical nobody that no one really talks to and doesn't really care about. But after school, I'm this martial art king who can whoop anyone's ass. So he keeps training and training, so he never gives up on his dream of being a hero. But he doesn't want to be your average hero. He wants to be a hero in the shadows. So he gets isekai'd into almost like a wet dream that he'd have. He's wearing a dark, big cape, and he has superpowers. And his only group are females. He has a whole harem for himself. I hate to talk shit on this kid, but if you don't talk to people at school, chances are, even if you're to go to a different world, you still wouldn't be talking to girls. Here's my question of the day. If you could be isekai'd, which means you'd die in this world, would you want to go? Let me know in the comments down below. The people that should be watching the show are the people who like, 1, Classroom of the Elite / Konosuba, and 2, if you like edgy main characters. You know, the ones that are silent in class, but they're badasses at home. Also, if for the same reason that you might hate it, you might like it, is it's really bloody. And I'm sure it's going to have really disturbing content. The people who shouldn't be watching it are the people who don't really like fantasy-esque / isekai. The two questions left in my head are, the rest of the series going to take place in this isekai world, or is it going to be half in school and half here? And the second question is he actually dead, or is he going to come back to life? Alright guys, that's it. Peace.